Hey everyone, Joey here with a quick news update. Today, the podcast Kiwi Talkz uploaded an interview with Paul Tozour, a former AI engineer at Retro Studios who worked on Metroid Primes 2 and 3. Currently, he's looking to release his book later this year on his leadership in the video game industry, which is titled Four Swords, A Parable of Leadership, Video Games, and Dead Dragons. In this interview, he highlights some of the challenges he faced when working on the games, one of them being the relationship between Retro Studios and Nintendo SPD. He said that nearly every time a boss battle was finished, Nintendo SPD would come in and change it. For example, the final battle with Samus at the end of Metroid Prime 2 was remade twice over. Mike Wicken did the first one, then Pacini redid it, and Kensuke Tanabe redid that one. Originally, Tanabe wanted dozens of Samuses flying around, but they had to knock it down to 3 because it would be a performance nightmare on the GameCube otherwise. Paul said that he was not used to working at a studio where there was essentially two different teams, the local team at Retro, and then the Nintendo SPD group. Retro would show off what they were designing, and the SPD group would tell them to make massive changes. He said it wasn't necessarily frustrating, but it required a lot of patience. He had to be okay with weeks of work being thrown away in order to make the game the best it could be. After completion of Metroid Prime 3, Retro Studios has started work on Project X, which was Retro trying to prove to Nintendo that they didn't need their oversight. However, it was frustrating for Paul to work on because the design document was incoherent and pointing to something that wouldn't be conceivably fun. To go from the professional experience of Prime 2 and 3 to the mess that was Project X was problematic. He tried to raise red flags about the project, but his warnings were ignored and it was cancelled. Paul thinks this might have been because Mark Pacini and a few other developers were in the process of leaving Retro to form Armature Studio, so they simply didn't care. Paul then talked about Retro Studios president Michael Kelbaugh, who he says cares a lot about having a healthy and positive work culture. He said that there was crunch, but it was never a ridiculous amount, and the company didn't really hire jerks. Michael also treated people with respect. He never threatened, intimidated, or looked down upon anyone. In Paul's words, he put out fires, he never started them. And when a leader gives respect like Michael does, everyone else is going to respect each other. Finally, Paul talks about the Halo influences on Metroid Prime 3, and they were there because a number of Retro devs were Halo fans, and he heard that these devs would butt heads with Tanabe because Tanabe did not care about Halo. However, the first Samus battle in Metroid Prime 2 was Retro's attempt to make a boss encounter that was similar to a typical Western first-person shooter. But those are just some of the points mentioned in Kiwi Talkz' interview with Paul Tozour. Be sure to check out the full interview in the description below. And in the meantime, check out the videos on the right for more topics you might be interested in. Until next time, everyone, bye.